After being postponed several times, the movie meant to kick off Phase 4 of the MCU is now following several TV shows on Disney Plus that took over that duty. Was the switch noticeable? And how did the movie fare? Hi there, it's Micha. Come in and we will find out together. You almost thought I would skip to review this one, right? Well, I almost did, but after reviewing all Marvel shows on Disney Plus on a weekly basis, with Loki even getting 2 videos per episode, there was no way in hell I could allow that to happen. The movie starts in 1995 with a 13-year-old Natasha and her 6-year-old sister Yelena living a quiet family life somewhere in the USA. But that family unit was only a Russian sleeper cell, lying dormant for several years. Their parents were spies, not related to the kids, so after their completed mission, they were all going their separate ways. For the young ones, unfortunately, it meant to be handed over to the Red Room program, where innocent girls were broken and molded into killing machines, the Widows. The movie then jumps 21 years to its present timeline, which takes place directly after the events of Civil War, which ended with Natasha being on the run for helping Captain America and his posse. We all learn that Yelena still is under the control of the Red Room, quite literally, as they have now the capability of binding the women via mind control. While pursuing a mark, Yelena is exposed to a gas that breaks the mental hold the organization has on her. With several vials of that drug, she plans to free her fellow widows as well. All the while, Natasha was under the impression to have ended the group years ago. As the paths of the two sisters cross, they team up to fight this fight together, to smash the Red Room once and for all, and to free all its mind-controlled victims.
We have to go back to where it all started, so they never do that to anyone again.
To achieve that, they will need the help of their former parents, though.
We're a family. We fight with you.
There you have it, the first theatrical outing of Phase 4, though most of us likely have seen it with premium access on Disney+. But more on that later. Let's start with how it fared.
So cool, right? It's good.
As we all know, and if you don't, because you haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet, let me ask you, why are you watching this review then? And also, close your ears now.
That's all it's been about, bringing everybody back.
As this is a spoiler for Endgame.
It's okay.
Black Widow is dead. She sacrificed herself to save half of all life across the universe. Likely this was not planned as a prequel, with the story being conceived around the time Civil War was filmed. They just didn't greenlit it back then, because no one was putting much thought into female-led superhero movies at that time, before Wonder Woman hit the screens. Now seeing more potential in Black Widow, the studio made it a prequel. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of prequels, because they leave less room for surprises. You know exactly which character is safe because they appear in later movies, and even worse, often you exactly know who dies. The worst example here being Star Wars Rogue One, where we knew from A New Hope that no one from the team obtaining the construction plans of a Death Star had survived, which took away all excitement and made it hard to even allow a bond with the characters, knowing their fate. But even if you know the lead will survive, as in Star Wars Solo, you can't really get invested in much of a story, as it is, from the point of our knowledge, ancient history and doesn't matter for the future of the role and the franchise. Why should I care about some love interest in Han Solo's past, when I know he ends up with Leia? But maybe that's just me. So this is why prequels are not really my favorite kind of movies, as I don't see much of a point in them. For me, they always appear to struggle, only concentrating on their own agenda, giving the movie a detached feeling compared to the rest of the franchise. Often they are retconning facts to allow their story to be told, that way screwing with the fanbase. Or they want to please the fanbase by following canon to the T, while having no surprise in store. I have yet to see a prequel that is so cleverly retconning events that it completely surprised me, yet still uphold the overall canon in a sneaky way.
Let's go.
Black Widow is one of those which stick to canon, but didn't offer many surprises, unfortunately. It is a good movie and solid entertainment though. It just never reaches its full potential. When the movie was announced, I was expecting it to at least open a small door for Black Widow to be brought back from the dead, to hint at something we might have missed. Otherwise, I thought there was no point in producing a prequel. But nothing of the sort was to be found in the movie, at least not that I noticed. It also didn't help that months ago, the actress playing her sister was announced to have a larger role in the Hawkeye series, carrying the Black Widow moniker, which reduced the hope from the get-go. By the way, a fact that only the after-credits scene would have revealed. That scene also was supposed to feature a mysterious cameo of a figure we already know from the TV shows, making it less mysterious, but also showcasing that switching around the order of the entities in Phase 4 had an impact, though not a dramatic one so far.
Why do you always do that thing?
What thing?
The pose. It's a fighting pose. You're a total poser.
So, all things considered, we are mainly left with a reminder that one of our favorite characters is dead, bringing her just back to milk her appeal one last time.
Such a poser.
In a movie that had no function other than that in the overall context of the franchise. On the plus side,
Okay, you got a plan, or shall I just stay duck and cover?
My plan was to drive us away.
the action is mostly very well done.
Well, your plan sucks. You're welcome.
And the acting is strong. Though untypically for Marvel, they have a very weak big bad. A stereotypical evil guy without any backstory and sporting a really bad Russian accent. Someone who is just evil for villainous sake. This is one of the issues I mentioned before with prequels. They follow their own agenda, being a bit detached from the rest of the franchise. So a hastily created new persona was brought in, but there was no time to develop him and his motivation. Also, it is weird to introduce Taskmaster as a mute individual, very similar to Deadpool in Wolverine Origins, as to my understanding, their counterpart in the comics also had a tendency to run their mouth a lot. So why make them mute in this one? Just to not spoil one short reveal? Does no one learn from past mistakes? There are some other issues with the screenplay. First off, the woman pretending to be the girl's mother back in the 90s is still actively working for the company, torturing pigs in that capacity like a sociopath, without empathy. She also never went looking for the kids, but after a bit of nostalgia,
We had our orders and we played our roles.
It wasn't real.
she is on board to help them and to betray her employer in a heartbeat. The pretend dad,
I couldn't be more proud of you.
You smell really bad.
who by the way has super strength like Captain America,
I guess you could say, Red Guardian's like the Russian Captain America.
I mean, you could say that.
Yeah, we wouldn't say that, but you could.
never utilized them on their earlier mission, except for their escape. He was stuck in prison to keep him quiet for 20 years. Why? He was quite obedient to the cause and certainly could have been used otherwise to great effect. Also, why does he not try to run? There was no power dampener in place. Okay, the prison was isolated, so he might have been shot or died of famine, but wouldn't it be at least worth trying instead of rotting away? But he only breaks out once someone came to pick him up. And the sisters never tried to reach out to each other before. And yes, I say sisters, as I very late in the game realized that not even they were biologically related. Sure, the mind control issue is an excuse, but for years before, they could have linked in to help each other. Apparently, sisterly love only rises up when they are in close proximity. Weird side note. Rachel Weisz and especially David Harbour are way too young for their roles as the kids' parents, which makes little sense. If Marvel wants to reuse them, for instance having Red Guardian, Harbour's superhero alter ego, show up in future movies, he would need to be artificially aged even further. Casting someone older would have made more sense, so they likely will not return him to the franchise?
Still fits.
Which is a pity, as the guy was kind of fun.
Family. Back together again.
You got fat.
So to recap, as a standalone movie it is entertaining enough and even fun, though not very inspired. The biggest weakness is the standing within the franchise, being shoehorned in as a prequel with little impact on Phase 4 and without the clear agenda other Marvel movies had. The movie felt like a concession to the actor, Scarlett Johansson, and her role, but not made with the same commitment and imagination by the studio as other entries in the franchise. It feels a bit forced and like a cash grab, monetizing the heroine one last time. If the same effort and attention would have gone into this movie as it did for the Avenger movies, or any of the larger MCU titles, especially regarding screenplay finesse, it would have been more than just a good movie. It could have been a great one, a worthy and deserved swan song for a beloved character like hers. Oh god, I'm sounding as if I hated the movie. I liked it for what it was, and you can't say that much bad about it. There were some weaknesses and no huge highlights compared to the Marvel flagships. Compared with regular movie fare, it was a more than solid entry. It is definitely a good movie, just not as great as it could be. Therefore, I'm rating it with 7 out of 10 points. One last call out. As you may know, Scarlett Johansson is currently suing Disney as she was promised an exclusive theatrical start of a movie and a percentage of the earnings, which were likely diminished by the movie being available online via Disney Plus at the same time. This seems to diminish any likelihood of her returning in any way to the franchise, which is a pity. Though you should never say never, as it seems that Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel's MCU, is siding with her. Regarding those voices telling her to shut up as she already earned enough via her $20 million salary, I like to say, be fair guys. Women are still paid less, but this is not even about gender inequality. If you are promised something, you should get it, no matter what the dimensions are. Also, the argument to compare her salary with that of an average person seems weird, because first off, then you would have no rights to sue someone if you are rich but treated wrongly, and secondly, compared to Disney, everyone is a regular person. Though with Disney there is at least a price tag on those online releases, but I was wondering how everyone working on Warner Productions are compensated when the movies are streaming on HBO+. With streaming rights and same-day releases being something new and unregulated, maybe it is time to set a precedent here. Do you agree with that? And with my rating? Let me know in the comments. That's it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like it and feel free to share it with your friends. And why not subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any future video. Make sure to also hit the notification bell to get a heads up whenever a new video is posted. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching!